There we go. Let's try that again. Hello, and welcome to Taylor Talks Comics Live. Thank you for joining me. So let's go to my haul since Harvey's here in the house. First, I went to Half Price Books the other day, and I found The Wild Kingdom. I just showed this off, but from Kevin Huizinga. Big Kevin Huizinga fan, and I excited for his Fielder. I think issue number 4 is coming out soon. Early next year, and I just recently reread what's it called, The River, amazing comic book, and then I found this, and I've never read this before, never had this. This is like a nice little slim hardcover, and Wild Kingdom, so I'm going to read that. And then I also found this at Half Price Books, Lone Wolf and Cub, with the Frank Miller cover. This is one of the single issues put out by First Publishing. And I got this to do a comparison because I'm hoping to get the Lone Wolf and Cub hardcover to do to the comparison. This is because that hardcover that Dark Horse is putting out, the deluxe edition, is the first time that Lone Wolf and Cub will be presented right to left in its original right to left format, like it was in Japan. First time it'll be presented that way in English. First Comics did these, and then Dark Horse did like this small little tankobons that I hate. But I love these. They have a really cool Frank Miller covers on them, which I was happy to see that the Frank Miller covers are included in the deluxe editions of those. And it wasn't just Frank Miller. I think Matt Wagner did some covers. And I forget, did Bill Sienkiewicz do some covers? I forget who else did covers. But I bought this to do a little comparison. This is just the first issue, which I don't know as far as chapters go, what this collects. I don't know if it even says in here. I don't know how they broke that down. If they did it like in nice even chapters, but I know they didn't finish it in this format. First Publishing went out of business before they were able to finish Lone Wolf and Cub. Okay, so it was Bill Sienkiewicz. So Bill Sienkiewicz, Matt Wagner, Frank Miller. I forget who else did covers. Now this is what Harvey sent me, and I am forever grateful. This was an amazing package that he sent me of stuff. It started off as a convo of me needing, well, let's start off with that part. So I talked about this on my haul last week or the week before. I picked up the 4th issue of Simon Hanselman's You Will Own Nothing and Be Happy. So this is issue number 4. It's also what he calls his zombie comic, where the Meg Mogg and Al characters are going through a zombie apocalypse. I showed that off a week or so ago, and then talking to Harvey Picard's Ghost. He's a great guy, always supportive, great ambassador of alternative comics. And he had extra copies of issues 2 and 3, because I had issue number 1, which I think Harvey might have actually sent me issue number 1 a couple years ago when it first came out. So I had issue number 1 and 4. He sent me out 2 and 3. So now I can read these and be caught up on this story. And Harvey, I've got to say, this is very serendipitous. I don't want to say why, but perfect week for you to send these to me. Perfect timing. But yeah, they're really cool. My favorite things about these, I think, are this is the first time I've ever followed Simon's work through self-publishing, because Simon will typically self-publish a lot of his work, and then it'll be collected by Fantagraphics later on. And so I don't know if he did this on his old self-publishing things, but these pages of essays in the back about like what's going on in his life, what comics he's reading, how he's feeling about the comic book industry. Fascinating stuff. Like, that's worth the price of admission alone, I think, is those little 4 pages of him just musing about comics. In his career, he's like trying to get, he's submitting scripts to Hollywood and things, pitching ideas. Really fascinating stuff. But super excited. I read issue 2 last night, and then I'm going to read issue 3 and 4 probably today to get caught up. And then he sent me the latest issue of Devil's Grin, issue number 7. This is the Alex Graham's masterpiece. I do have a video from one of my moderators wants to share it, showing off Devil's Grin from Fantagraphics, the collection, trade paperback collection, which I thought I had down here somewhere. I don't know. That collects issues number 1 through 6, that Fantagraphics collection. So if you're interested in catching up, this is issue number 7, just came out a month or two ago, and it's the most recent one. So get the Fantagraphics collection, the first paperback, and then Devil's Grin number 7, and we'll catch you up. And this is a thick, substantial book here. Like it's even got a spine on it. I don't know how many pages it is, but it's 116. 116 pages. And even has a Jasper Jubenville pinup in the back, which is awesome. So 116 pages, and it's $12 cover price. And this is a new format for Alex. She was serializing Devil's Grin in the more bigger magazine size. If you go to that video where I show off the Fantagraphics collection, you'll see it. I do a comparison of them. So I had some of the early issues. And that's not it. Harvey sent me, also, speaking of Alex Graham, The Professor's Day Off. I was showing off the Grand Electric Thought Power Mother last week, and it's done by Perfectly Acceptable Press. And Harvey was in the chat saying that Perfectly Acceptable Press is an awesome publisher. And I said that was my first book from them. Well, he sent me this. This is The Professor's Day Off from Alex Graham, also by Perfectly Acceptable Press. And this is a really cool format. It's like spiral bound notebook, and then like the cover is like vellum. So you see like the cover there, and then it goes on top. Same thing with the back cover with this little alien guy. Which Alex Graham's really cool. She even makes like these characters. Like if you ever see her on like Manga Chat with Simon Hanselman or whatnot, or interviews she does, she actually makes like full on dolls that are like this size. And they look exactly like her artwork. Really good stuff. But I love the format. I love that Perfectly Acceptable Press plays with different formats. Kind of reminds me of Picture Box back in the day. And then speaking of Jasper Jubenville, he sent me Dynamite Diva, The Engine Whispers. So I showed off this. Let me try to get this out without dropping a bunch of books. Bear with me for a second. So I showed off this like a week or so ago. This is the only Jasper Jubenville I own until Harvey sent me a few things here. But this is like a really thick collection. And this kind of took the alt comics world by storm when it came out. Jasper was everything that's collected in here was previously released and self-published, like mini comics and things. Not every, there's a lot of pinups and stuff that weren't, but this is like chock full of like great stuff. And an awesome comic. Jasper Jubenville is like a young, early 20s cartoonist, and very much inspired by Chester Gould of Dick Tracy fame, and totally like an amazing comic. It's a force of nature, this thing, and I can't believe it's done by someone in their early 20s. Like, if this is what he's doing in his early 20s, I don't know what Jasper's comics are going to look like 10 or 15 years from now, but you can almost guarantee they're going to be the best comics in the world. And this is the follow-up. So we have, this is what you want to read first, and this is the follow-up. And then Jasper's releasing, I think this month or next is when the next installment comes out of Dynamite Diva. So I wanted to be able to read this before the next one comes out, so I can be all caught up on Dynamite Diva and do a full overview and review of it on my channel to show off this work. But Jasper Jubenville, everyone needs to be following him. His work is awesome. And then he sent me these. This is Milkmaid. This is a mini comic from Jasper. I guess I can take it out of the book so it's not glaring off the screen here. And I don't know if this is going to be collected in the new piece or if this was even collected maybe in one of these. But it's a mini comic of Milkmaid, and again, it's more of his Dynamite Diva adventures. And his work is just amazing. Like, absolutely love this stuff. I can't believe this young... It blows my mind that this young 20-year-old was so inspired by Chester Gould that he's doing this very much Chester Gould-inspired work. I think he said in interviews that his dad would buy him like the old single issues that collected Chester Gould, or Dick Tracy, and that's like started this obsession with Dick Tracy from him. It's really cool that, I mean, we have an early 20s cartoonist doing awesome things, and he wasn't inspired by just superheroes. And he sent me this, I think it's like a process zine. because it's got like thumbnail pages in it and whatnot. I'm assuming he probably got this if you pre-ordered one of his comics, because a lot of cartoonists will do that. Like if you pre-order a comic, you'll get this cool little process zine. I love this little Mickey Mouse character on the back. But that's not all. Harvey also sent me a Pleasure Beach by Josh Pettinger. I always forget how to pronounce his name. This is his latest series. So he did Goiter, and then he did Tedward, a lot of Tedward mini comics. The Tedward video I did on the hardcover of that, which I think I have back here. Yeah. Tedward was his first Fantagraphics release, his first official Fantagraphics release. He did some work with Simon in Werewolf Jones and Sons. This hardcover, Josh Pettinger does a few comics in here, and I think he might. Is he in Below Ambition as well? He might have done some coloring or something in this one, but regardless, this is his latest series, Pleasure Beach, and issue number 2, which I have on pre-order now. Thanks to Harvey for sending this out to me. So I pre-ordered issue number 2. So when I get that in, I'll do a proper video on that. But this is his next series, and it seems like Josh is really trying to stretch his creative muscles here. And like Tedward and Goiter were like his funny, amusing humor comics, and Pleasure Beach, I haven't read it yet, but my first instant impression is that it's kind of giving me vibes of like a Velvet Glove Cast in Iron from Dan Clowes. But I don't know if that's accurate or not. But I love that Josh is trying to stretch his creative muscles. I think he'll come back to Tedward eventually when he has a story to tell there. But it's interesting too, because he's best friends with Simon, and Simon has like only released, Meg, Mug, and Owl type comics since he's been published. But Josh is kind of working with a bunch of different types of characters and things. And then the last thing that Harvey sent me was this Nate Garcia piece. Nate Garcia, Full Moon Funnies, is Nate Garcia is also an early 20s cartoonist that's taking the world by storm. And I have another Nate Garcia piece that I ordered in my haul, but he sent me, when he first started publishing his work, when he was just 19 years old, he sent me his early issues of Horn Rim, which is like his one-man anthology type deal. And I was blown away. The talent that this kid had just utterly blew me away. One of the moderators, if you want to find, if you want to find my video on Nate Garcia, it was in Cartoonist You Should Know, Nate Garcia, showing off his earliest work. But from then on, I vowed, I was like, I have the ability to try to collect everything this kid does in his entire career. Like, I'm here on the ground floor. He sent me his earliest stuff. I want to try to collect everything he does in his career, because I was way late to the game to Dan Clowes and Charles Burns. They started their careers before I was even born. And I was like, wish I could have collected all these rarities and things from them, like these one-off, appearances where they did a page in certain issue of things. But I have it now, and I need to go through all my Nate Garcia stuff, because I think I might be caught up on everything he's published. I don't think I have all of his comics, period, because I think he might have done like a page here and there in a French comic, but I have all of his stuff that he's self-published. I think I didn't go through it. So that's everything Harvey sent me. Harvey, thank you so much again. Viewer of the week, blown away, true ambassador of the alt comics movement. I just love that you buy extra stuff from these cartoonists to support them financially, but then also you pass them around to people. I hope that I can maybe put a spotlight on some of these cartoonists to maybe garner more of a little bit of a bigger audience to them, whatever audience I can provide. And again, serendipitous. I don't want to say, I'll tell you, Harvey, in the DMs after the show why it was serendipitous, but very fitting that this came in this week. This is the stuff I hauled from Gutter Pop Comics, and I great comic shop in Buffalo, New York. I've talked to Steven over there a number of times. There was a mess up with my order, but I messaged him. I'm sure it's gonna get handled. So I don't want to. When I say there's a mess up with the order, I don't want to make people be like, oh no, don't shop there. Definitely shop at Gutter Pop Comics, especially online. They have a lot of discounted stuff on their online stores and things, and rarities, rare stuff you can find, like this one. This is Stunt from Michael DeForge. I keep talking about how I'm trying to become a Michael DeForge completist. Again, like kind of like I talked about Nate Garcia. I want to collect all the small rarities and things that Michael DeForge came out with throughout the years. But this is Stunt, this little mini comic, I guess, of sorts, put out by Koyama Press, which is a lot of Michael DeForge's stuff was published from Koyama. But it follows the life of a stunt man in Hollywood in the classic Michael DeForge style, but done in this like 2-panel grid format of this weird landscape book, which is really cool. But absolutely love Michael DeForge's stuff, and I've never read this, never owned it. So I'm excited to have this in my collection now from Gutter Pop. Also from Michael DeForge, I got Lose issue 5. So now I have 4, 5, 6, and 7. I just need to get the first 4 issues. No, sorry, the first 3 issues, which will be the hardest ones to find. Because there's only ever 7 issues of this. This was Michael DeForge's one-man anthology that he put out, I think like 8 Ball or Neat Stuff or Hate. This is Michael DeForge's version of the one-man anthology. Or I could say one cartoonist anthology if you want to talk about like Dirty Plot from Julie Doucet. But again, Michael DeForge completist, absolutely love his work. Huge fan of his cartooning. And I'm going to do a video on all my Michael DeForge stuff once I get in a couple other books, I think. But there's some other stuff I'm missing. And then I want to read through these, obviously, before I do the video. But really cool stuff. Now I'm on the hunt for Lose issues number 1 through 3. If anybody has a tip on any of those, let me know. Oh, here's the Nate Garcia one I got. This is Horn Rim 4. This is one I didn't have. I'm pretty sure I have Horn Rim 3, though. I know I have 1 and 2 because he sent me those when I did that video. And I think I have Horn Rim 3. I just need to go through my Nate stuff and figure it out. But this is Horn Rim 4. And this was one piece of Nate's that I was missing. And this is his one-man anthology. And I was reading through this a little bit because he has like a little piece in the back where he writes kind of like what I was talking about with Simon Hanselman earlier. And talks about how like people will like all this stuff's like small print runs, and so people will take it and flip it on eBay and sell it for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And that's super unfortunate because Nate doesn't see the benefits of any of that financially. And he talks about how he's like, just because I'm a poor cartoonist trying to make it, I can't even. He would like to keep all those things in print because that's obviously the easiest way to counteract people flipping and scalping your stuff on eBay is to keep stuff in print, to keep the speculator value down. But he talks about how his financial struggles to keep stuff in print, but he would like to. So, a little interesting toil with the alt comics cartoonist. We talked about earlier with like Sarah Pacelli's issues with creator rights, but that's kind of like the financial stuff that they deal with. And I got Vendetta issues 5 and 6. So I have a video I did on my channel called Power Comics, and it shows off Vendetta, the trade paperback that Floating World put out, collecting the first 4 issues. This was a 90s comic put out by Steve McCardle, and it's awesome. Like, it was amazing stuff in that paperback that Floating World put out. But because of the hype of that paperback, Steve then returned to comics. And this is the first new issue of Vendetta, the Holy Vindicator. First new issue in 30 years. And I just love his artwork. Absolutely amazing. Like, it's like the black and white comics boom mixed with like early extreme 90s stuff. And it's on this cheap newsprint paper. So I love that he's returned to comics to bring this character back. And his artwork is really, really great. Love his character designs and things. So these are the 2 issues that he's come out with so far. I think issue 1 came out in 2023, and issue 5 came out in 2023. I think issue 6 came out last year. So I don't think we got a new issue in 2025. Yeah, but like, look at this. And they have these cool wraparound covers too, which are really great. So color covers, glossy covers, and then black and white newspaper interiors. Just fun power comics, as Evan Husney and crew call them. And then I got a Shaky Cane joint, one I didn't have, and I don't even know when this came out. This is Magic Lantern, put out by Floating World, and there's no indication of a year on this thing. I think this is new. I think it's like a newer thing that came out in the last year or 2. But there's no indicia on this book at all. The closest thing you get to indicia is back here with the ISBN, but there's no like year indication. There's no copyright material on the inside. I'm very confused by that, but it's a great looking book. Shaky Cane's awesome. I love his work. Need to do a video showing off all my books from him as well. But this seems really awesome. Oh, that's like the back cover. I'm trying to show new interiors here. This really rad comics. Wild stuff. And then 2 more things to show off. This is a book from Fantagraphics that I've been meaning to pick up, but I got it from Gutter Pop. And this is Crusher Loves Bleeder, Bleeder Loves Crusher. It's part of their Fantagraphics Underground imprint, or FU. And it's it's done by Thomas Stimrich and Patrick Keck. And Patrick Keck he drew some of the comics in the Batman bootleg comic that I showed off. It's my Josh Simmons video I did for Halloween. Patrick Keck drew one of those issues inside, and I terribly did not credit Patrick Keck in that video. I felt awful when I shared that video on social media, and Josh Simmons said, like, "Oh, hey, don't forget Patrick Keck worked on this too." So hopefully I can do right by Patrick Keck by reading through this and showing this off on a future video and properly crediting him. But I love his artwork. He has like a kind of a Gary Panter inspired art that I love. Here's a cool 2-page spread. But yeah, I'm really excited to dive into this. It's a book I've been meaning to pick up. It came out late last year, I think. And then I picked up, this is where they messed up. So I ordered the Goiter paperback collection because I still don't have that, unfortunately, from Josh Pettinger. Floating World put that out. I've been meaning to pick it up. Someone picked it up, and so I ordered it from them, but they sent an invoice. They couldn't find a copy, so they refunded me, which is cool. And then I ordered Smoke Signal, but I ordered the Gary Panter issue because I still haven't picked that up. But they sent me this one. This is by Keiichi Tanami. Again, cool that they sent me this, but it's the wrong one. So I reached out to Steven. I'm sure he's going to make it right. No big deal. Not stressed about it. But the artwork in here is great, regardless. So Smoke Signal, if you don't know, is the published newspaper comic. I'm trying to fit that on camera. I guess I can do it this way. Put up by the comic book shop Desert Island Comics, which is in Brooklyn, New York. I had the pleasure of visiting that comic shop when I went to New York. Look at this 2-page spread. Look at that. Amazing stuff. I had the pleasure of visiting the comic shop at their old location. They're on a new location now. But regardless, I don't know if it's once a month or every couple months, but they put out these things called Smoke Signal. And if you visit their shop, they're free. If you like physically visit their shop in person, they're free. You can pick them up. When I went there, I picked up they had 3 issues there, and I picked them all up because they're free. If you order them online, I think they're $10 a piece. And I wanted the Gary Panter issue because there's an all Gary Panter issue. It's like the newest thing Gary's come out with in a few years. And I was stoked to pick it up. but they sent me this one. So I don't know if they have the Gary Panter issue still in stock and I can still get it. Hopefully I can. Like I said, I reached out to Steven. I know he'll make it right. No big deal. Gooder Pup's an awesome shop to order from online or in store. I haven't visited them in store because they're in Buffalo, New York, and I don't have any reason to go to Buffalo, New York besides to visit that shop, which would maybe is a good enough excuse anyways. But so when I went to New York, I looked up to see like how far of a drive it would be, and it was like a 3-hour drive or something crazy, a 2-hour drive maybe. It just wasn't worth it to take a whole day out of your trip to New York to go all the way up there, I guess. But awesome stuff. Great haul. I'm excited to sit down with all this stuff and read through it all. This is some really cool stuff too. It's going to keep me busy for a while. So let's get into it. I don't know if I showed these off on any sort of haul before, but I did get Pleasure Beach #1 by Josh Pettinger and Crickets #9. Crickets #9 made it onto my video of top 25 favorite comics of the year in 2025. I don't know if I showed that off or not, so I just wanted to show that off real quickly. All right, but I also got Pleasure Beach #2. So this is by Josh Pettinger. This is his new ongoing series. And yes, this is Pleasure Beach #2. And this is on sale. I think he has both issues on sale right now. But if not, there is a, right? Is it on the back there? Yeah. It says in the last issue, it has like a little blurb right here explaining what's going on with the first issue. So I don't know if the first issue is on sale on his website or not, but this is issue #2, Pleasure Beach. It's awesome. So Josh Pettinger is a hilarious cartoonist. Tedward, his book Tedward, which I have within my reach here, was on my top 25 comics of last year video as well. Funny stuff. It's like dry British wit humor with kind of surreal comedy. Hilarious stuff. But Pleasure Beach is getting into the more, it's like his, I keep comparing it to this, which I don't know if that is an accurate assessment or not, but it's like kind of like his Daniel Klaus. Oh, cool. Cast like a velvet glove cast in iron. It's got like kind of a David Lynchian type vibe to it. So it's really Josh Pettinger stretching his writing muscles, which I like. And also I love this format because it's like a tabloid magazine format. So I've been loving this. I'm looking forward to future issues of Pleasure Beach. Which I don't know. Harvey, has he said how many issues this will be? Has he put a number on it yet? Let me see if this will come up on. Okay, that's a little bit better. I did pick up this. This is Cyborg 009. Cyborg 009. I don't know how you say that colloquially. Can't say that word either. But this is a old Tokyo Pop printing of Volume 1. And I've always wanted to read this series. This is by Shitaro Ishinomori, who also was maybe the godfather of the tokusatsu genre, of the Power Ranger kind of aesthetic, with the Super Sentai manga that came out and Kamen Rider. He also did that manga. But this is Cyborg 009. I think this might be his longest ongoing series. He was like super prolific. Like he was up there almost with Tezuka as far as how many manga he drew. But he also did the Zelda comic book series that was in Nintendo Power magazine back in the day. So Shitaro Ishinomori is awesome. But I haven't read the series, and my comic shop had Volume 1 in their used section, so I picked that up. This is the stack I got from Harvey Picar's Ghost, which again, thank you so much, Harvey. Like seriously, anytime someone sends me books, I never take it for granted. It's always super appreciated, and a highlight for me. It's like birthday and Christmas all over again, and I love to show off these kinds of comics on my channel. To hopefully they will, I don't know, other people will pick them up. But I got Goiter by Josh Pettinger, the aforementioned. And this is the trade paperback collection from Floating World. and it's also signed and sketched. I wasn't expecting that. I was talking to Harvey, and I said that. There we go. There's the sign and sketched. I was talking to Harvey and said that I'm going to be interviewing Josh Pettinger soon, but this is the only bit of his comics I haven't read yet, besides stuff that came out before Goiter. I think he might have had some earlier stuff, but like I've read all the Tedward stuff and Pleasure Beach, but this is the one that was missing, and he said he had multiple copies, and he sent this to me. So I'm excited to read this in preparation for that interview. He also sent me this Nate Garcia Jam comic, Pummel Tuna, and it's like this accordion, which I think it's a Jam comic with Julie Collette. Harvey, if you're in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong. But it's beautiful colors. I love the aesthetic of it. Obviously, I love the go-go checks. Anybody who knows my channel knows that's part of my branding. And then it came with a cool belly band. Just like really, really beautiful art object. And also sent me a comic that I've been wanting to read, but it's mostly out of print. This is War Epic by Nathan Cowdery, and he sent me all 3 issues. I think issue number 3 might still be in print, but I don't think it might be harder to find all of the other issues. But Nathan Cowdery, which you'll see a book in my haul later, is an awesome cartoonist. And I know Simon and Josh Pettinger Simon Hanselman and Josh Pettinger are big fans of his. They've had him on their channel, Manga Chat. And Harvey sent that to me because he said that Josh Pettinger was a big fan of his, and he might bring it up on the channel so we can talk about it whenever I interview Josh. So thank you, Harvey. That haul was amazing. It's the second box you sent me this year, and I always appreciate that. I did get a couple of these manga from. Is this the New York? Who are these? Who's the publisher? Oh yeah, New York NYRC, the New York Review Comics. I got Ding Dong Circus, and that's by Sasaki Maki, and I got Ninja Sarutobi Sasuke by Shiguru. I probably butchered that, but these are some of the classic manga that have been reprinted in recent years that I've missed out on, and I got these on sale. I think I got those from Cheap Graphic Novels. I also got Julie Doucet's 365 Days. This is one of the Julie Doucet books I do not have, and this is from John and Quarterly. Well, I have it now, obviously. But I'm excited to dive into this. Julie Doucet is another cartoonist that I need to do a video on. I have the Dirty Plot box set. I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it on the camera. Or can you? No, you can't. By the Julie Doucet Dirty Plot box set. Why does it keep falling out? And I think I got another, my New York, what's that name of the book? My New York Year or something like that. So I have at least 3 things I can show off of hers. She was a cartoonist that was massively big in the alternative scene in the late 80s, early 90s. And then she went on to just do like fine art, I think. I don't know. I didn't really follow her fine art career. But she kind of left comics and then came back for here and there. I think there is one other book I could get that I don't have. And then here's another Michael DeForge joint that I didn't have, and this is Leaving Richard's Valley. And this is a thick collection. And it's very shiny from John and Quarterly. And it's like small mini comic sized, 4 panels per page. But this is like his most critically acclaimed book, and I didn't have it in my collection. I never read it. It even has a Simon Hanselman blurb on it with even Tommy Parrish and Anna Highfish all have blurbs on the back. My haul, I got Doom Patrol Omnibus by Keith Giffen. I'm a huge Doom Patrol fan. I will pick up any collection we have, which I think we're only missing the John Arcudi run so far, which they kind of highlight here on the inside of the dust jacket. And I think the omnibus has been announced. And I think that's it. I think the only other Doom Patrol we don't have an oversized format would be the most recent series, which only lasted 7 issues. So I probably need to pick up the trade paperback. But I love the way DC's mapping these out now. They did the same thing with Suicide Squad Omnibus. where the first, because Keith Giffen's run only lasted about 21 issues, I think. So it would be a pretty slim omnibus if it only collected that. But the first 300 pages of this omnibus are all set up for the Keith Giffen run. And the setup does include all the Doom Patrol characters, so it's all relevant. And I love that because it kind of sets this is an era of DC that I'm not familiar with. This is New 52 era, I think, that I'm not so familiar with. So it was piecing things together. Like I've never read Infinite Crisis, for instance, and it's kind of piecing that together, as well as the Jeff Johns Teen Titans run, which I have read. That's one of the few things from this era that I have read. I read that in my teenage years with no context of anything else going on in DC at the time, and I love that run. So it's cool to revisit the Teen Titans in here. I think I'm about 200 pages into this omnibus. Yeah, 207 pages into this omnibus. So I'm almost to the Doom Patrol run of Keith Giffen that I've never read. I'm a huge Keith Giffen fan. So excited to dive into this. Excited for more Doom Patrol. Because I still have like a stack of this many books. I got Kramer's Ergot number 9. This is a book I didn't have in my collection, so I corrected that. This is the Great Sammy Harcum anthology, and also my first Kramer's. So I unfortunately don't have any other Kramer's. There was 10 issues / collections of Kramer's. I think the first few issues were just Sammy's doing a one-man anthology, maybe, or maybe there's a couple other cartoonists in it. But then they started getting into these thick collections, and I love a good cartoonist anthology. These are some of my favorite things to read because I'll have my phone next to me, and I'll be reading. And as I discover a new cartoonist, I'll follow them on Instagram, and it's just a great time. So, Kramer's number 9. I got a Theo Ellsworth joint. This is Understanding Monster. This is a Theo Ellsworth I did not own. His artwork is insane. So he's one of those maniacal mark makers. Just so many lines on a page. Like, look at that. Just insanity. So I need to show off. I think I have a few Theo Ellsworth books I need to show off on my channel. So I picked that up. It's published by Secret Acres. This was this is from a lot on eBay. This guy was selling like a ton of these books for super cheap. And this is one of them too. This is Scatterbrain. This is a collecting issues 1 through 3 of this comics anthology, and it's also signed by Sergio Aragones. And it was just again in this lot. If you break down how much I paid for the lot, I got this book for a couple $. But it's got Mike Mignola in it, Sergio Aragones, Jim Woodring, Steve Parkhouse, Dave Cooper, Jay Stevens, Evan Dorkin, James Kachalka, Craig Thompson, David Sheldon. So there's a bunch of cartoonists in here that I didn't know Scatterbrain. Never even heard of Scatterbrain, but it was a 3-issue anthology, and I picked it up. So that was fun and tremendous. I talked about this on my last haul, how I ordered from Gutter Pop Comics, and they sent me the wrong issue of Smoke Signal, and I said, "Don't worry, he's great. I don't want to still order from Gutter Pop. It's an awesome shop, and Steven there is an awesome guy. I'll contact him, and I'm sure he'll make it right." He instantly did. He sent me. This is the issue that I wanted. Was the Gary Panther issue of Smoke Signal. These are great. These are they started off as anthologies, but now they're like one cartoonist per issue. But they're like newspaper tabloid, like broadsheets things. If you go to Desert Island Comics in Brooklyn, which is a comic shop, great comic shop. I have visited that one. Not the new location. I visited the old location, but so I still need to go back and visit the new location. But this is a comic he puts out, and if you walk into the shop, they're free. But if you order them online, I think they're like $10, which isn't a big, that's not too much. But when I visited him, he had like 3 or 4 different issues. I'm like, can I pick up one of each? He's like, yeah, sure. Just pick up whatever you need. So both Gutter Pop and Desert Island are 2 great shops. And then he sent me this one for my treble, which you didn't have to do the Steven and Gutter Pop, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And this is I forget who the artist is on this one, but the artwork looks amazing. I think it's a mangaka. but it's also maniacally insane artwork. I don't know. There's not like an artist name, obviously, on the. Oh, the Worldwide Visual Underground. No, I don't know. I don't know who did that one. Harvey, do you know who did this one? This is Smoke Signal number October 2022. But the Gary Panter one is the one I wanted because I'm a huge Gary Panter fan, because I can. This is Lovable Oath. This is by Ed Luce. This was also in that lot of books that I got. And I've always had my eye on this and wondered what it was like, but I've never read anything by Ed Luce. So I'm excited to dive into this. Definitely has some like heavy metal vibes. So that'll be exciting to dive into. This is Mark Bell's Pure Pajamas. Mark Bell is a cartoonist that's been on my radar over the last year or so that I've been trying to pick up multiple things from. You'll see another one of his comics later in this haul. He's a really cool cartoonist that I need to do a video on because I have a few of his things now. Finally, I picked up Chris Ware's date book, the Acme Novelty Date Book 2002 through 2023. This is the third volume of the Chris Ware sketchbooks. I had the first two volumes, and I've been waiting to pick this one up, and I saw it for a ridiculous price, so I finally picked it up. I don't have the cool box set, obviously, but I didn't need the box set, and these are amazing. If you're a fan of Chris Ware and you want to see him draw in other styles that he doesn't typically draw in, and see how great of an artist he is, pick these up. And there's actually like comics in there too. They're not just like sketches. Here's the Nathan Cowdery joint that I talked about. This is the Crash Site hardcover Fantagraphics collection. So this is the first Nathan Cowdery I've ever picked up and read. And now I have War Epic thanks to Harvey. But Nathan Cowdery is an awesome cartoonist, and I want more of his stuff. I think in one of the issues of War Epic, there was a picture of Nathan Cowdery with other comics that he's done that I'm not familiar with, so I need to pick those up. Here's the R. Crumb section of my haul. I got these from Cheap Graphic Novels. Their Black Friday sale is always insane. They always have crazy prices on there, and they also unearth a lot of things that weren't available on the website. I think Max just goes through. Max is a great guy, by the way. He's the owner, proprietor, and guy that runs Cheap Graphic Novels. I think he like goes through the warehouse or something and finds stuff that's not listed on the website for whatever reason, and then puts them out there for Black Friday. I don't know how he does it, but this is the Crumb Compendium by Fantagraphics, and this lists every comic that are Crumb's artwork or anything he's ever done, including album covers, everything. So this is cool to have. It's a really thick collection too, so you can see how prolific Robert Crumb was, or still is, I guess. And then I got 3 volumes of the complete Crumb comics. These were on Cheap Graphic Novels website. They were not originally listed there, but on Black Friday, they popped up for, I think they're like 50% off or something crazy. One of them is a hardcover, that's volume 17. So I think I have, there's 4 here in this haul, so I think I have 5 of the complete Crumb comics now. With, I think 17 is the last, or 19? Which volume is the last one? I think, I don't know, but I have 5 of them now. Here is volume number 15. The rest of these are paperback. They're both released. They're released in paperback, hardcover, and signed hardcover. The other hardcover that I have is signed. I managed to get a signed copy of one of them, which is kind of cool. And this is volume 2. So this has some of Crumb's earliest comics in it, which is cool. Here's some more DC joints. This is the one I was talking about from that's from DC, but was originally published with a different company, which was Fawcett. This is Plastic Man Archives Volume 7. So I only have 2 volumes of this. They released 8 volumes of the archives for Plastic Man, and I'm trying to pick up the whole set. I only have 2 of them now. But this is a great Golden Age comic that I feel like would appeal to modern fans. I talked about that a little bit on OmniDog's channel yesterday. That should be a video I do. What Golden Age comics do I think modern fans would enjoy? But this is one of them. Like Golden Age Superman and Batman, I don't know that I'd recommend those to anybody, but Plastic Man, Captain Marvel, aka Shazam, would be another one I'd recommend. If you want to get into outside of superheroes, I'd say like Karl Barks, obviously. These were also on the Cheap Graphic Novels website that were unearthed and popped up. And these are the Steve Ditko Omnibus Volumes 1 and 2. One of them has Hawk and Dove. One of them has Shade the Changing Man. And these were released a few years ago. These are standard sized, but the paper on these and the way the artwork lays on them is amazing. I wish Marvel and DC would release all their comics on this paper, because the way the color and inks lay on this paper is absolutely perfect. It mimics newsprint, but it holds up better than newsprint, obviously. And that's why I sold my my Jack Kirby Bronze Age Omnibus and the Commandy Omnibus, because I opted for these versions of them. So these are all the Steve Ditko ones that exist. There are still some of the Jack Kirby ones that I'm trying to hunt down, but that's my preferred format for reading DC from Ditko or Kirby. Now, the Steve Ditko Omnibus that came out recently does have more material than these books have, because it includes all of his Legion of Superheroes stuff. But I have that I think I have most of that in another format. If not, I will eventually whenever they release a Bronze Age Omnibus or what have you. So yeah, there's that. A few more books here. The Green Hand. This is a book by New York Review Comics, and it's Nicole Clavelo Comics, who's someone I'm not familiar with. I think she's from France, I think. Yeah, France. And her comics were never collected in English until this book came out. And this is designed by Daniel Klaus. And Daniel Klaus even writes a cool foreword in here about how big of a fan of her comics that he was, even without being able to read them in English, because they were always in French. So it's cool to read that. And like I said, I like to see cartoonist influences, and that's one of his. Here's a Noah Van Sciver book that I painfully and regretfully did not have in my collection that I do now, and that's the Johnny Appleseed biography that he did with Paul Bull. I think this is the first. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone in the chat, but I think this is the first Noah Van Sciver book that Fantagraphics released. But yeah, Johnny Appleseed. I showed this book off on OmniDog's Vault yesterday. It's not a comic, but my wife got me this because she bought me a VCR for Christmas, and I'm slowly gathering a little bit of a VHS collection. I don't have the time to tell you why I picked up a VCR and VHS, but mostly based on nostalgia. But this VHS cover book is amazing. I'm thinking about doing an overview of this on my channel, even though it's not comics related, but I think it's comics adjacent because it is art and words, but it's collecting all these cool VHS covers from like B and C movies, and it's really, really cool. So I might do a video on that, show that off. And then last but not least, I got two more collect things here. I got Pee-wee's Playhouse, the Dummy Zine issue number 1. This is collecting all the artwork from Gary Panter, Wayne White, Mark Newgarden, and Kaz that they did when they were doing the set design and character designs for Pee-wee's Playhouse. Huge Pee-wee's Playhouse fan. There is a thing going around right now to vote on a Lego playset, or not playset, sorry, a Lego set of the Pee-wee's Playhouse is what I was trying to say. A fans made it. Now it's up for vote for Lego to officially make it. Everyone go vote on that, because that would be the coolest playset ever, or the coolest Lego set ever. I'm going to keep calling it playset. I also got Worn Tough Elbow issue number 3 from Mark Bell. I don't have issues number 1 and 2, so I guess I'm going to hunt those down. I think they're really hard to find. But Pee-wee's Playhouse is one of my favorite shows of all time, and it the set design was by Gary Panter. And Gary Panter won 5 Emmy Awards for the set of Pee-wee's Playhouse, just to show you how cool the set was and how cool of a Lego set that would be. So everyone go vote on that. I'll probably share links on my Instagram, I guess. All right, let's get through the chat here, and then I will get out of here. We do a haul video. People love that stuff. What I've been doing, Harvey, is chopping up all of my haul sections of my live shows and making that into a haul video. That way, if you watch the show live, you get to see the haul, but also people that don't watch live can see the hauls as well. So that's what I've been doing. Let's go over the rest of my haul real fast. I did grab an issue of Master Kung Fu issue number 60. Slowly but surely working on building my whole collection of that. I did get Twilight Zone issue number 3 from my comic book shop last week. It's all James Stokoe writing and drawing. Haven't read it yet, but stoked for Twilight Zone series. And a couple more things. I did get this in the mail. This is a review copy from Fantagraphics. The Lights of Niederroy. I need to figure out how to pronounce that before I do my review, obviously. But this thing is gorgeous. And it's from a Brazilian cartoonist, I believe, who did Listen Beautiful Marcia before with Fantagraphics. But flipping through this, the lettering is amazing. Look at this. I love the mixture of it looks like almost like European artwork, but with like Western style lettering, like on the sound effects and things. It's just gorgeous. But this is one of those comics from overseas that I have no knowledge of. I'm trying to find another good example of lettering. So I'm excited to dive into this. You can look for my review sometime. I think it comes out next month. Let me see. This comes out, March. So you can look for my review in March. I'll be caught up with my Fantagraphics books by then, surely. And then I picked up, which will be my next video you see on my channel, which will come out tomorrow, Shaolin Cowboy. What's it called? Beginning of the End Results, in this beautiful hardcover, which for the first time in English collects the Bourbon Threat comic book series or serial that Jeff Darrow did with Mobius back in the day. Not Mobius, like it was Mobius's, like, I forget what he called it. There's information in here, but Mobius's comic that he was doing, like his anthology. So there's no Mobius artwork in here or writing or anything. So when I say with Mobius, it's with this anthology magazine. But Jeff Darrow, I've always noticed how Mobius was an influence on his artwork. But Bourbon Threat, this is my first time reading it. You can definitely see the Mobius in his artwork, and it's gorgeous. But I guess Jeff Darrow is on record too saying that the Bourbon Threat, which is kind of like the prequel, kind of like the pilot episode, I would say, of Shaolin Cowboy. He's going to reference that in a new series of Shaolin Cowboy. So this is important for him to get this out. Now, this also collects the Star Trek, the first series of Shaolin Cowboy that was released in this hardcover. So if you buy the new Beginning of the End Results, do you still need the Star Trek hardcover? I'm going to answer that in my video. I'm going to do a comparison of the two because I love Shaolin Cowboy. Still looking for a hardcover of Who Will Stop the Rain, by the way. If anyone finds me one for a good price, that's the only one I'm missing. But I'll give you guys a little tip since you're live with me, and I appreciate it. You don't need this anymore. The Star Trek hardcover, you can sell it, you can give it to a friend or whatever you do, because, oh my gosh, I almost took out the DeLorean. Every single page of this book is included in this. Every single page, including the alternate covers that were done by other artists, including everything. The only thing that you'll be missing will be like the end papers are different, which I'll go over that in my video, but you don't need that Star Trek hardcover anymore. And that's my haul. Got any Rambo on VHS? Not yet, but that's definitely one I'm looking for. I did get a couple new VHS last week. Actually, hold on a second. Sealed in the package still, and I couldn't believe it, but I got the Close Encounters of the Third Kind by Steven Spielberg. And this was the collector's edition that has I think it's the director's cut. Or is it the extended cut? Hold on. The definitive director's cut. And it has like special features on it and stuff. But this was still sealed in the package. And this is from like 1998. I got that for a couple bucks. That's pretty cool. I'm a huge Steven Spielberg fan. I did get Apocalypse Now. It's going to be a fun one to watch. And then the classic action movie of the 90s. Armageddon. If you don't love this movie, then I don't know what to tell you. Michael Bay. One of the Michael Bay movies I absolutely love is this, and I do like Pearl Harbor. I'm a fan of Pearl Harbor, no matter what people say. So those are my VHS that I picked up for the week. I do want some Rainbow though. I haven't ran into it yet. I've never seen Armageddon. It is a cheesy action movie. It's got Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, and Liv Tyler in it. It's got the classic Armageddon song. What's the song called? What's the official title? I think it's just I don't want to miss a thing. Is that what it's called? Yeah, I don't want to miss a thing. Which is funny. Fun fact: I don't want to miss a thing was actually written and offered to Celine Dion for a song, and she turned it down. So then Aerosmith picked it up. I can't imagine what the Celine Dion version was. Oh, J.J. Abrams. Oh, J.J. Abrams is a co-writer of the screenplay. Interesting. Story by, adaptation by. Was this a book before? I don't know, but it's a classic cheesy 90s movie. There's an asteroid that's about to hit Earth. So instead of sending astronauts, because what are they going to do to stop an asteroid? They send these oil drillers, which is like Bruce Willis and his team, to go drill a hole into the asteroid, drop an atom bomb into it, and have it explode before it can hit Earth. And Ben Affleck is in love with Liv Tyler, who's the daughter of Bruce Willis in this movie. And there's some fun dynamics there. I don't know. I haven't watched it since, I don't think I've watched it since the 90s, but I watched it a bunch in the 90s. Let me get to my haul. Everybody keep lighting up the chat. I'll reply to you guys in a bit. But I picked up these. These were like, I hit kind of the jackpot at my Half Price Books last week because I got 8 Ball issue number 19 and 8 Ball issue number 20 for $1 a piece. I love when you go into Half Price Books and they don't know how to price things. Not that these go for crazy money, but they're definitely way better than $1 a piece. And I have the box set for 8 Ball right here. Can you see that? Yeah. But this only includes issues 1 through 18 because 19 through 23 were all kind of different formats and they didn't fit in the box set. So I guess Dan Clowes views these as like a different era. So I have some of the material in here in like trade paperbacks and like the David Boring story. I have that, but I didn't have the single issues. So I was stoked to pick these up for $1 a piece. Super awesome for that. I don't think I showed this. I think I showed this off my Discord, but not on my channel, not on the live show. But I found The Hunter, and this was cool. My wife found this for me when we went thrifting, and she found it before I got over there. But she found a bunch of Donald Westlake books, which I've never read any Donald Westlake like authored books. How do I say that? Donald Westlake, his pseudonym for writing the Parker stories is Richard Stark, and I've read those. But I've never read any books where he uses the Donald Westlake name, I guess I should say. But this was interesting because it says Donald Westlake writing as Richard Stark. I've never seen a Richard Stark Parker's novel that has the Donald Westlake name on it. So that was interesting. But also it's this cool paperback. And I think this is the first Parker story. I'm almost certain it's the first Parker story. But super stoked to read that. I've been trying to pick up the Parker books. Longtime viewers of my channel will remember that. And then I got 2 Kirby collectors. One day I aspire to have the entirety of the Kirby Collector magazine collection. Now, these are put out by Tomorrow's, and I really wish they came out with trade paperbacks that were called the Kirby Collector Collected, and they collected 5 issues each, but they ended at issue number 32. So they only did like 8 Kirby Collector Collecteds, I think. I could be wrong on that, but they didn't do the whole run, obviously. That's what I'm trying to get at. And this is issue number 93, and this is issue number 87. And these are like $10 a piece cover price. And if you ever find them used anywhere, they're about $10, if not more. So I found these for $1 a piece, so I picked these up. And that's cool. I picked up my first Cracked magazine. I was never a Cracked magazine guy, always more of a Mad guy. And in my collecting, I picked up more Mad magazines. But this is my first Cracked because I'm trying to pick up all the Cracked magazines that Dan Clowes appeared in. And this was on my list. I had a list set up of like, these are all the appearances that Dan Clowes had in Cracked. And issue number 217 was on the list, but I got home and I flipped through this thing and there was no Dan Clowes in it at all. And now the website that exists that had all of the issues in it is like off the internet. I don't know what happened to it. It was like eastcarolina.edu and it had like a Dan Clowes page. So now I need to go off the list that I created, I guess, and hope that it's accurate. But there's no Dan Clowes in this book. I was kind of annoyed by that. But it does have some Rick Altergott in here. I am a fan of his. This is a review copy I got from Fantagraphics for a book coming out in March, I believe. Is it March? April. Sorry, April. And this is Ben Sears' Young Shadows and the Watchdogs. Ben Sears is an awesome cartoonist. I have all of his books. He's got a really cool style. And these are like all ages comics. So I'm really stoked to show this off on the channel. It's got like a yellow, black, and white kind of look to it. And I'll probably show off all the Ben Sears books I own whenever I do that video. And then Harvey Picard, this was the thing that I thought it would interest you. This was, yeah. So this cartoonist reached out to me. This is M. Yaxum. And these are incredible looking. These are tales from the Quaileoth. I don't know how to pronounce that. But he reached out to me and asked me if I want to review his books. There's comics. And I remember him from the Full Moon Funnies collaboration he did with Nate Garcia. And I was like, absolutely. And these look incredible. Like, these are like, they look like classic underground comics, but like also with like Jim Henson characters almost. Like, this looks beautiful. So I'm going to read these and do a review on them very, very soon because they just looked gorgeous. And I just want to read them. But good stuff there. Show that off again. And whenever I do, I'll share how to follow him in the chat. But I think he's on. Does it have his? I'm trying to see if it had his Instagram handle in here, but it doesn't. I think if you look up Yaxam, you can find it. Yaxam. Someone in the chat, if you could share a link to his thing. And then the last thing I hold just came out this week. Absolute Promethea Volume 2. It's kind of stuck in there. And I've already been reading this thing. Absolutely loving this story. This is actually the first time I ever read this, though. Alan Moore is my favorite comic book writer of all time, and it was a crime that I never read Promethea. But I read the first volume of the Absolute last year when it got reprinted and loved it. And I'm loving this so far. And I hope that they reprint number 3, because we're going to need number 3 reprinted. And I need to read the concluding part of the story. It does have some cool back matter in here too, with like kind of director's notes from, or director's commentary type things from J.H. Williams III, which have been cool. I read those before I even started reading the story. But that's it. That's my haul. Before I get out of here, please go over on panelboundcomics.com, order any books there, save $2 off of your order by using Taylor Talks Comics, all one word. If you're going to put a bigger order in, use my other promo code, TTC Ship It Together, all one word, TTC Ship It Together, and you'll save 5% off that larger order. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, share my videos, share my content with the world. I appreciate that. Share it on Reddit, share it on Facebook. I appreciate that so much. I got big plans in this year for the channel. I want to grow the channel. Thank you so much for all the subscribers I have so far. Hitting 5,000 last year was an amazing goal. I didn't think it was obtainable, but I did, or attainable. But I did, and that's only thanks to you guys. Little sneak peek. I do have a goal. I kind of want to hit 10,000 in 2026. 10,000 subscribers. And I can only do it with your help. Anybody that shares my videos elsewhere, I appreciate it so much. Here's my Discord. You can go over talk comics with us over there freely. Here is my Goodreads. Thank you so much, James, for sharing that. Thanks, Taylor. Have a great rest of your day. Matt, you have a great day as well. Good stuff. Pee-wee. I love Pee-wee. Strange Love Studios, thank you so much for joining us and talking about Pee-wee, because Pee-wee's awesome. And there's my letterbox. No, thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day. Keep talking comics.